Okay, let's set the scene. The year is 1809, and we're in the kingdom of Travancore. There's a storm brewing, and I mean that both literally and, well, figuratively. Right in the middle of it all is one man, Velu Thambi, and he's about to make a stand that's going to echo through history. So, picture it, a royal court, just packed with anxious soldiers and villagers. Rain is just lashing against the palace walls. Suddenly, Velu Thambi slams a proclamation down on the table. He declares that from this moment on, Travancore will rise. But here's the kicker. He says they're not fighting for land. They're fighting for one single powerful idea: dignity.
That really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, what could possibly push a leader and his entire people to the very brink of war? Not for territory, not for treasure, but for something so abstract, yet so incredibly fundamental: dignity. To really get it, we've got to go back. We need to see where this all started.
So, let's rewind the clock a bit. We're going to look at the specific events, that slow burn of injustice that really fueled Velu Thambi's resolve. You see, this wasn't some sudden outburst. Oh no, this was a fire that had been smoldering for a very, very long time. And this contrast really tells you everything you need to know. Before, Travancore was a peaceful, pretty prosperous place. You had cheerful sunlight, farmers working, a land that really fed its people. But then, the British arrived, and suddenly taxes are doubled. People are getting brutally beaten if they can't pay. Their homes, their huts are literally being burned to the ground. This was the wound that started it all. And the arrogance, I mean, it was just off the charts. You had British officers telling the people of Travancore to their faces, "You people exist because we allow it." Think about that. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about pure humiliation. Can you imagine hearing that in your own home, on your own land? It was like they were just rubbing salt in the wound every single day. So a younger Velu Thambi is seeing all of this happen, and you can just imagine him, fists clenched, just filled with rage. He wants to fight back right then and there. But an elder stops him, holds him back with this wise but totally heartbreaking warning. Not now. Their guns speak louder than our truth. It was a moment of forced patience, a bitter pill to swallow. But listen, that patience, it wasn't surrender, not even close. As he stood there watching his people's homes burn, he made a silent vow to himself. One day, I will break this chain. And that moment, that's when everything changed. He went from being an observer to a future rebel, just biding his time. Okay, so fast forward. We're back in 1809. That vow he made all those years ago, it's about to be fulfilled. All those memories, the burning homes, the beatings, that's the fuel for this fire. The time for being patient is officially over. And this isn't just some army of trained soldiers. No, this is a full-blown popular uprising. We're talking thousands of ordinary people, farmers, craftsmen, you name it, gathering at a place called Kundara with sharpened spears, whatever they could find. And they're all wearing these red headbands, a symbol of their unity, of their defiance. They are so ready for this. So Velu Thambi stands before this massive crowd. He points his sword to the sky and he just delivers this absolutely electrifying call to action. His voice just cuts right through all the tension in the air. If the British want war, we give them fire. And you can just hear the roar from the crowd. The rebellion has officially begun. And at first, the results are, well, they're stunning. This is not a conventional war. The Travancore fighters, they're using guerrilla tactics, ambushing troops in the forests. You've got villagers blocking roads with burning carts, just creating chaos. This raw passion, this ferocity, it completely catches the British off guard. And for a brief moment, their lines actually break. It looks like victory might actually be possible. But that initial success, it was pretty short-lived. You know, the full might of the British Empire was about to come crashing down. The fight was about to shift from the hot-blooded fire of rebellion to the cold, hard reality of a massive counterattack. The real turning point was when British reinforcements arrived. And they didn't just bring more soldiers, they brought cannons. The thunder of that artillery, it just changed everything. Pretty soon, Velu Thambi and his remaining fighters are surrounded. The palace is burning. The military advantage isn't just gone, it's overwhelmingly against them. So what do you do when you're faced with certain defeat? What does a leader do?
Well, for Velu Thambi, this fight was never about his own survival. He was crystal clear on his motivation. His personal fate meant nothing compared to the freedom of his people. He's saying, even if I fall, my people must live free. His final moments are just tragic, but they're also so deliberate. You have to understand the sequence here. First, he's surrounded, fighting with his last few soldiers against this overwhelming force. Then, he's hunted, and he manages to find refuge in a temple, but his options are completely exhausted. He knows capture is inevitable. And he knows what that means: humiliation, being paraded around like a trophy. So, he makes one last defiant choice.
And his last words really say it all. Let my death be the final spark. He completely understood the power of becoming a martyr. He was not going to give his enemies the satisfaction of capturing him alive. No way. Instead, he frames his own death not as a defeat, but as one final act of rebellion, a spark that he hoped would ignite future fires. And you know what? That spark, it caught. Velu Thambi the man was gone, that's true. But his story, the legend, that was just getting started. His sacrifice was about to be transformed into this powerful, enduring legacy. So let's just put his life in perspective for a second. He was born in 1765, but his entire life really culminated in that one single explosive year, 1809. That's when he issues the Kundara Proclamation, ignites the revolt, and makes his final stand. It was a short, fiery arc, but man, it was one that cemented his place in history as this incredible symbol of resistance. And you get this powerful image of villagers gathering and a young boy picking up his fallen sword. It's almost like a promise, you know? A promise from the next generation that this sacrifice will never, ever be forgotten. His story will never die. Travancore will remember. The story is passed on. The legacy is secure. So this brings us right back to where we started, with a big question. If you look at it from a purely military standpoint, Velu Thambi's revolt was a failure. He lost. The rebellion was crushed. But did he really lose? It really makes you wonder what the true measure of a rebellion is. Is it about winning the battle? Or is it about creating a memory, a story so powerful that it inspires generations to keep fighting for that one simple, powerful idea: dignity?